You're listening to The Joe Cronin Show, a wrestling podcast with attitude.
What's up, wrestling fans? So a lot of there's a few things going on. A lot of news last couple days. Wasn't ready to really do a lot of stuff yesterday and this morning. So, of course, a bunch of news and gossipy stuff happened that we could have talked about. This couldn't happen on Wednesday when we had Out of Nowhere. The first big thing is, and there's quite a few things here, but the first big thing is the Revival was offered apparently $500,000 each to stay with the WWE. Each. That's a hell of a lot of money. This is according to a few different sources, but the main traction coming from Fightful.com and Mr. Sean Ross Sapp. Top guys were offered top money. WWE Hall of Famer turned AEW employee Jim Ross mentioned in an interview that WWE had re-signed an undercard performer who isn't even on television to a $500,000 deal. And digging around to find out who the talent was, Fightful learned that another offer was made but not yet accepted to another act. And that was Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder. And again, it's not a combination. They were both each offered that. Want to see the whole thing? You can read it on Fightful.com. But just so interesting, man. These guys, you know, it's so weird too because they win the titles, and then they go on these weird Twitter tirades about, you know, not really wanting them and things like that almost. I forget exactly the examples are of what they said, but it just appeared that they wanted out of the company. That they've seen what's gone on at this point, and they're like, you know what? This is a nightmare. Let's get out of here. But then, you know, they even while they had the championships, even while they had the titles, like apparently that this, you know, that they were thinking this. But then so now the offer is apparently still on the table, and they have yet to deny it or accept it. And I wonder how long that's going to go on for, and I wonder why that is. Are they waiting to see what Double or Nothing looks like? Are they waiting to see what AEW has to offer them? Are they waiting to see if WWE gets a little better? They seem pretty locked in on the night of the Hall of Fame, where I think it was Dawson that, or Wilder, I can't even remember, who just punched that dude in the face, and he deserved it, man. He was fighting them, so screw him. So I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. I love these guys, but you know, it seems that they're thinking about it. I think that's the answer. They are thinking about it. Do we want to live through some of this misery, but get paid a lot of money to do what we do, and then maybe we'll have some great moments in the future? And 5 years could take 15 years off your life? Or do you want to risk it all and, you know what I mean, maybe make between $80,000 to $150,000 each a year, you know, on the indie scene? Or do you want to take a pay cut and maybe AEW offers them $200,000 or $300,000 a year, or whatever they offer them? Or maybe they can't do that. Maybe they can only offer them $90,000 each a year. But that's how bad WWE is, right? The one thing that this does say is how bad WWE is, right? Because this should be a no-brainer. This should absolutely be a no-brainer. That, like, oh yeah, $500,000 WWE, boom, sign me up. Dude, sign the contract. $500,000 WWE. Now, granted, I was only a pro wrestler for a couple of years. But if I was to be a wrestler and WWE was to offer me $300,000 a year at this point, that would be a no-brainer. $500,000. I mean, throw $100K away for like all your travel expenses, potential injuries, and put that away. You're still taking home after taxes $315,000. I mean that and then merch and whatever deals come up after that. I mean, I'm sorry, you're signing with the devil. I think I would sign with the devil at that point. I think, but WWE is so bad And these guys care about wrestling so much and how it's fulfilled in their lives, apparently, that they're thinking about it, according to these reports. Don't know how accurate everything is and what could possibly really be playing into this. So this is a bit of speculation on my part, of course. But it is what it is. And I hate that saying, but I don't know. It's not is what it is. That's just the facts right now, and we're waiting to hear what the next step is. But to me, that shows you how bad WWE is, because that should have been an immediate slam dunk, Former ring announcer Lilian Garcia announced she's a new MMA announcer in a Professional Fighters League MMA promotion, which is on ESPN and ESPN2. So she's back to ring announcing for those for that company. That's great. She's great at it. She should have. I mean, honestly, Howard Finkel, Lilian Garcia. I don't know. I don't know if there'll ever be another one of those two. Lilian Garcia was just, man, she's just a wonderful person. She's so sweet and has this smile and her voice, and she's pretty and all these things. Like, Lilian Garcia was great. And Howard Finkel, poor Howard Finkel right now is suffering, man. He's really in bad shape. I wish WWE and people would just do a little more about, like, talking about how great he was, but they don't care, I guess. I don't know. About to come down the aisle. I love Howard Finkel. The other night was Impact Wrestling Rebellion, or I think it was called Rebellion. I didn't get to watch all of it. I skimmed through some of it. I may be doing a review later about it. Main event, Impact versus Cage. It was a nice main event. Unfortunately, Cage went to the hospital, but the doctor said, I think you're going to be fine. You have severe inflammation and a bone bruise. Could be a small surface fracture. Even if it is, it's not a big major issue. So the good news is that it looks like that Brian Cage is going to be it's going to be okay. Just probably need to take some time to rest and heal and fix that issue. But luckily, it's he doesn't need any kind of surgeries or anything like that could hurt him as far as financially with that, bills and stuff. And obviously, like, major time out of action. I don't know how long he's going to be taking it easy for. I would assume he would take it easy for 4 to 6 weeks. I don't know if that's what he's going to do or what he has to do, and I don't know what kind of commitments Brian Cage has going forward. But we'll have to find out what happens and how this affects his run here. But, we'll see. From what I heard, it was a good show last night. And I did skim through it, but I can't review it right now because I didn't give it the proper viewing, and I want to give it the proper viewing. But look at good old Lance Storm looking as happy as ever to be there. But no, seriously, Lance Storm, I love that. It was a great mind, man. I really, 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 I like seeing Lance Storm come back or do things. Any of the guys that, we grew up watching. I grew up watching a lot of guys since I started watching. I started watching wrestling around WrestleMania 5, so I've seen a lot of guys. I've seen a lot of wrestlers. A lot of respect for Lance Storm and Johnny Impact and Johnny Mundo, whatever you want to call him. Johnny Nitro, Johnny Mundo, Johnny Impact, Johnny Jackoff, and Brian Cage, man. Also, we saw an amazing promo by Cody Rhodes.
There's two brothers.
My God, was it phenomenal. Goldust, Dustin Rhodes and
right.
Cody Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes and Cody Rhodes.
One works very hard, tries to keep his family whole. The other goes abroad, whores about, and makes every conceivable wrong choice you could possibly make. But it's the first brother who is equally in the wrong because he has an expectancy from the father for all his good deeds, and none of it mattered. The father loved them the same. I've sat on enough couches telling my story to know which brother I am. I'm good with it. And this notion of brother versus brother, of natural versus nightmare, it's all very marketable, it's all very romantic, albeit not very accurate. What's accurate is that this match is generation versus generation. I am not here to kill Dustin Rhodes. I'm here to kill the Attitude Era. My entire lot, my whole class of peers has been compared to these gilded late 90s through the early 2000s for over a decade, and it's an utter sham. Sure, you paved the roads for us, but gosh, you set the speed markers at 35 because you are terrified of any of us putting our foot down on the pedal. You mean to tell me some pissant bodybuilder making every match a no DQ, meandering around the crowd, throwing the jib cam at his opponent compares with a Kenny Okada match?
Ooh, shots fired at Triple H. Tell you what, this is fucking awesome. The road to Double or Nothing. Man, this is the road to Double or Nothing. Dustin Rhodes, Cody Rhodes, a legendary family clashes. Two different viewpoints, two different roads. We are at a crossroads at Double or Nothing. And it's coming. Double or Nothing is around the corner. And that's a promo. That's how you cut a promo. That's how you build anticipation and emotion. You don't have that in WWE whatsoever. Shots fired at Triple H. Shots fired at Vince McMahon. Shots fired at WWE. Set the speed limit to 35 is, that may be true, Cody, when you were in WWE. WWE may have set the speed limit to 35, but let me tell you something. Right now, the speed limit is set to 15. The speed limit is set to 15 miles an hour. But there is a bit of a sort of a decoy or an imagination that goes on because they do let guys like Ricochet and stuff like that come in and do something. But it's an illusion of control. While we get this and that are good, the storytelling is absent, absolutely absent, and so much more is stifled. And you know it is, because it all ties into what I said at the beginning here about the revival, which is when you're offered $500,000 and this is your dream and you're in WWE and you don't say yes immediately, something is wrong. Something is going on when you don't say yes immediately to $500,000. Something is wrong. Something is up. Something is gonna foul. Right, Jim Cornette? You prick. Are you listening, Cornette? Please, I'll blow you. I'll suck you. I'll suck every last drop already. Even Santino wouldn't respond to him. He wasn't hard up for money enough with his droopy cap. Joe Cronin. I don't know, man. I love Jim Cornette. Fuck it. I love hating on him because he hates on me. And I have a blast with it. And I have a blast with all you guys. And hey, by the way, my 9-minute sort of nice little Game of Thrones review that I did with Justin Bailey, we made some mistakes. We couldn't remember some things. But our initial thoughts on Game of Thrones is up on my other channel, youtube.com/corruptedpodcast. That's my other YouTube channel. And also on Patreon, guys. Get over to Patreon. Make sure you guys have your patrons. Me and Bailey just uploaded our next episode of Bailey and Cronin. It is a doozy. We, unfortunately, the Minnesota Vikings fan, I'm sorry, bro, we crapped all over you, and this episode was all about crapping on you. I'm so sorry, man. We were joking a little bit. I meant some of it, but I also love you, buddy. 30-minute episode. It's up on Patreon right now. Please go check that out if you're a patron of $5 or more. Remember, if you're a $2 patron a month, you get about 12 hours a month of bonus content. If you're a $5 patron a month, you get just a shitload. You get friggin', I think about 30 hours a month or something like that. I don't know, it's a crazy amount of stuff. But I want to thank all the new patrons because we have so many new patrons over there. It's a big family, big JCS army over on Patreon where we can do stuff that YouTube doesn't let us do. The podcasts are all downloadable. And I just want to say, go to joecroninshow.net. If you want to download every episode of Corrupted ever, or every episode of my Morning Madness podcast ever, or any of the other episodes, the links, the quick links to the Dropbox of all the episodes to download or listen to them is much easier than the Patreon app. So I suggest going to joecronenshow.net, my website, joecronenshow.net, and clicking on the corrupted 100 episodes right there, and whatever will take you to everything. Andrew Ryan, man, $25 patron. Arknolia Strokelbean, Awonddy Big M, Big Bad Ads, Big Matt, Brokenlion, CJ Bradley, Coop the Comedian, Darel Stultz, Frog Kid, Gary Metzler, or Metzler. I'm sorry, Gary, I always do that to you. Gary Metzler, man. Gerald Armstrong, Jabroni Jabber Podcast. And Jabroni, please hit me up, man. We got to talk some hockey shit. We didn't get to talk a lot about it. I'd like to do another podcast with Jabroni Jabber Podcast. Jason Tarr, JayyMenAce, JRFord III, Justin McNeil, one of the top patrons, Matt Moon, Darel Stultz as well, all the top patrons. Thank you, Matt Moon. Mike Gwaz as well. Mikey Too Crikey. A lot of Mikes become producers on the Joe Cronin Show. NickY J, Ryan Pelletier, Saul, Steamy Wet Broccoli, The Bear 1322, TJ, and Trey Hendrickson. That is the most amount of associate producers of this show we've ever had, ever. I've had 16 at a time once. I think we're over 25 right now. So thank you guys very much for keeping these shows up, keeping me able to do this. Without you guys, there is no Joe Cronin Show, and I really appreciate it, man. I've appreciated it for, 4 to 5 years now, but I'll never forget running home having to do this show after my work day. I'd work 12 hours at work, come home, kiss my kids goodnight, come on here, and you guys started supporting back then. So, and obviously the support went way up when I lost my job. So not enough words can be said about what you guys have done to make this show happen. This doesn't happen without you. This is PBS at this point. I'll be live tonight after Monday Night Raw. And again, like I said, more episodes are coming to Patreon. The Game of Thrones review is over on YouTube. And there's just a bunch of shit that's going to be coming up on the Patreon and going to the youtube.com/corruptedpodcast. So if you guys really like my other content, make sure you follow me on all the places below. All the links to my other YouTubes, my Twitch, my everything, Facebook, it's all down below. Go check it all out. Go fist through it all. And I mean fist through it all. I mean, I like the word fist. I like fisting. Go there and go to YouTube, go to Instagram if you want to follow me on Instagram. Whatever it is, man. I don't know. Have a good time. What do you think about the revival and all this WWE stuff that's going on right now? What do you think it says that a tag team in 2019 who really has only been on the main roster for a year and a half and had been plagued with injuries and had some bad booking decisions. They've had bad injuries, and they have been offered $500,000 each, allegedly, that they haven't signed. What does that say? Or is the story bullshit? Do you not believe Fightful? Do you not believe them? I don't know. Or some of these other websites that report these things. What could it be? I'm not sure. Here's some other videos you guys might have missed. Please check out these other videos that you might have missed. And come back to my YouTube channel every day. Every few hours, I don't know. Come binge. Come hang out. I'll have more podcasts for you, more opinion shit for you. And also popping up on the top right is the link to my Patreon. So if you've never checked out Patreon, there's free stuff on there too. And we talk some shit that we don't usually talk on YouTube. So check it out. It's a lot of fun. I will see you guys tonight for the Raw review. And I might go live in a few on Corrupted to do a live Anything Goes Q&A. See you then.